focus on the forthcoming Kogi governorship elections. We do have Olayinka Braimoh here with us. He is the governorship candidate for Action Alliance in that forthcoming election. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, Chamberlain. Thank you for having me.
I know you do have a feel now of probably what to expect, how things are going to turn out, even if you don't give us the full details. But tell us, how are your campaigns going on now?
My campaigns are going on very well. The acceptance across board has been on the increase, and we are very happy about that currently. We've covered significantly a lot of grounds, and we're still covering, at least within the next 2-3 days that's left for campaign.
Okay, when you say acceptance across board, well, a couple of days ago, it was out there in the news that Kogi West Elders Forum adopted Leke Abejide, the candidate of ADC, against the candidate of the PDP, Dino Melaye, and yourself, who all three of you from Kogi West. They said he himself, and that they invited everybody, they looked at certain performances, they came up with different yardsticks. Political appeal, popularity, internal party cohesion, acceptability, campaigns, reach, and they thought he was the one who stuck out for them.
All right. Some few elders may endorse, but it's only God that enthrones. And when you look at those parameters they've looked at, I would think in terms of priorities, they missed that out. I would say categorically, because how can you say you endorse a candidate without a clear vision or a clear manifesto of what exactly he wants to do for the people? So you could see there were allegations of bribery of some of these elders. I mean, it's there in the news as well.
Okay, before I come to that bit, when you talk about clear agenda for Kogi people,
yes,
it was the first thing that they spoke about in terms of the committee that they set up to assess the candidate based on, in fact, the first one here was agenda for Kogi State.
They tell us, these elders tell us in categorical terms the agenda for each of the candidates. As I speak to you, there's no clear-cut message from the candidate that they're saying that they endorsed.
Did they invite you to appear?
I was invited.
Did you go?
I went there. And what they say is, oh, you have a clear vision, but you're young and we don't think you can win an election. And I asked them the question, what is your ultimate goal as elders? Is your priority for the people, or you just want to have a governor from Kogi West? What is the ultimate goal? They say, oh, what seems to concern them is we just want to win an election. We just want to have a governor from our side. And I've been very clear with my message from day one. I focus more on the constituency of the poor people. I've never campaigned about where I come from, but my focus has been moving our people from poverty to prosperity, because that is a major problem right now in the state.
What is this thing about allegation of bribery? You seem to take it serious.
Yes, because it was published that the said endorsed candidate bribed some of the elders. I mean, it was published. The allegations were there.
Does that make it true?
I wouldn't know.
You cite it as an allegation.
Yes, it is an allegation, so it means that it needs to be investigated. However, there's a whole lot of confusion in that regard. The Okun Development Association released a statement which was published by Senator Dino that the ODA had endorsed him. Then you now have the Kogi West elders saying they have endorsed another candidate. Then you now have the Kogi Okun Youth Development Association endorsing Braimoh as well. So you have all sorts of kind of endorsements.
So it's one up.
So I mean,
all
like
three, yeah?
I represent one thing.
Why do you think you will win these elections?
Because of the fact that in my campaigns, the engagement, my vision has been clear from day one, and the acceptability has been there. I do not think any candidate has moved around the entire state the way I've done. I don't think no candidate has done the kind of engagement that I've done in the last 6 months.
Well, I've been largely quiet in this conversation because I spoke with you on Friday on a hard copy, and one of the things which you expressed some concern initially, you had said in previous interviews that security wasn't really an issue for you, but it would seem that by Friday it had begun to become an issue. And one of the things which you raised was the issue of a circular which had gone round hotels in Kogi State, saying that the state government wanted to make use of all the hotels in the state. Is that still the situation in the state?
Well, as at yesterday, initially there were rumors that some of our team got back and said they might force them out of the hotels and all of that, but nothing happened yet as we speak. They've not taken any action. I want to believe that the governor has allowed reason, as a sense of reason, to prevail in that regard. You know, because in our conversations, in our campaign, we have not attacked any individual or anybody, including his administration. We have focused mainly on issues. So I want to believe perhaps he's allowed a sense of reasoning to prevail and decided not to do anything about it going further. I mean, that's the present situation. I don't know what will happen in the next minute.
So you haven't, it's not like as if you have, because initially you were threatening to sue the hotels where you had made reservations, even though some people will say, but you can see that it's not the fault of the hotels. You haven't received any reassurance from the Inspector General of Police or the security apparatus, because this could actually lead to a breakdown of security if it's not well managed.
Well, at the moment, the hotels, they've not asked for our account details to refund their money, and they've not asked us to our people to move out of the various hotels that they occupy across the state. So that's why I said I just want to believe that the governor actually allows sense of reasoning to prevail.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had a conversation yesterday with the Inspector General of Police, and it's about and a number of other stakeholders who are going to be looking at the elections in not just Kogi, in Bayelsa, and also in Imo State. And the conversation largely focused on security. Ahead of the elections, I mean, the IG was talking about how they're going to be deploying security in phases, and they have already started doing their own threat assessment, etc. Do you feel reassured by the plans that have been put in place by the IG with regards to election security in Kogi?
In terms of level of assurance, somehow maybe about 50% thereabout for now, because in terms of their deployment plans, the terrain in Kogi is such that you have a local government, Ibaji local government is not accessible by any vehicle at all. It's only motorbike that can get to some certain extent. And most other parts of Ibaji, you cannot even get there with motorcycle. You have to trek. I mean, those are challenges, and these are areas that in case of any violence in those places, in fact, there's no network at all. There's no network coverage in some...
But they've been voting before now.
They've been voting. You know, the point is when there are issues, how will they be able to call for backup in all of these areas? Some part of
Bassa. You notice Ibaji, okay.
Bassa, Bassa, you don't have a 500-meter road that is good at all in the entire of Bassa. Where I come from, my community, it's extremely difficult. Akutupa is extremely difficult. You drive there, you spend like hours, Cooper North, Cooper South, Egon, and so many of these areas are not easily accessible. And these are areas that I think it's important for them to really focus on to be able to have backup plan, radio communication.
I thought INEC has meetings with political parties about some of these things, including security agencies. Did you raise this issue, or did your party raise these issues?
Of course, sure we did.
What was the response?
Yeah, of course, the response is the regular response of, okay, we'll make provisions, they will make provisions. But how far will those provisions go in taking care of our affairs? that you don't know until the D-Day, or you know. INEC will not tell you they don't have plans to take care of those challenges in those areas. But these are real problems that we'll have to look at. Because sometimes the violence occurs more in some rural communities as against the urban centers. For the urban centers, I want to believe the police will be able to take care of urban centers. But I would want them to actually focus more on the rural communities, especially those ones that are not accessible easily.
Okay. Well, you've raised the issue of infrastructure, which could now be an impediment in terms of deployment. But I imagine that you said you focused on town halls to get your conversation, to get your message across to the people whom you're looking to get their votes come November 11. But as you go forward now, I know that this is crunch time and there is only so many town halls that you can do. Are you going to be changing tactic to consolidate on those areas where you have been able to get your message of stats to?
Yesterday, for instance, we had 11 locations community engagements in Lokoja. We started from 10 a.m. We finished at about 6:30 p.m. yesterday. At least we were able to cover like 10 locations. I mean, in Lokoja township. And we have other rallies coming up in a couple of locations between tomorrow and next tomorrow.
So you're going to do rallies eventually?
Yeah, I mean, we've had rallies, but we're not doing the large rallies because we found out that we needed to be able to engage more with people.
Are you afraid of doing rallies? Because some people also say, you know, if the silent film could come up now, because if you're looking at this, and you're looking at some of the engagements that you have had, some people will say, look, are you sure this man is going to go anywhere? Looking at the fact that he doesn't really have a lot of people.
We did a walk in Lokoja.
Yes.
You aired that some days back. That walk is the largest walk in Lokoja. I mean, you can check, you can fact check that. Nobody had actually had that kind of crowd on that walk. We did a walk from Paparanda all the way to phase 2 where we have our party office.
Why do you think that crowd will support you at the end of the day?
Now, it's organic.
Okay.
Now, yes, it's organic. We walk, we engage people that are already within our structures. You know, we did our walk in Kaba. No other party had had that kind of turnout in Kaba in terms of our work in Kaba. Okay, because our engagements are organic, strictly organic, because our focus is who are those that will vote for us? Who are those within our structures? Not just general people, not just to go rent crowd or pay crowd and then you bring them in and then do a huge rally to create some certain impressions. But we focus more on organic crowd. And that's what happened to us in Lokoja.
Which template are you using? I mean, has this been tried by you somewhere? Why you think this will swing the vote your way? Especially when you have a ruling party that is hell-bent on delivering for their candidates.
I am an unusual candidate. Unusual candidate because I have an unusual situation and it demands an unusual approach. First, new to the politics of the state, with a party new to the state, so that's an unusual situation. So it requires an unusual strategy to be able to get the results that I require. That is one, because you actually need an unusual candidate to put an end to the unusual trend of poverty that's been happening in our state.
So you think that your message has resonated with the people? Because at the end of the day, on election day, the dynamics are entirely different.
I know. I'm aware of everything you might want to talk about in terms of election day. I'm an entrepreneur.
You have a joker on that day?
I am an entrepreneur. I think strategy. And when I talk about thinking strategy, I appraise every situation and I come up with the necessary strategy to be able to approach things.
What will your strategy be for those who may want to be violent or political thugs that may go to a particular polling unit and snatch it or ensure that things don't go the natural way?
Okay, strategies are meant to be your weapons, and then you don't want me to tell you my strategy in public like that. But we've got everything covered.
Okay, so now, this weekend, in fact, that's true. It's sooner rather than later. It's going to happen real soon.
Yes.
So people are going to wind down campaigns and all of that.
Correct.
We've had people who have told us, look, on election day proper, when they get there, because, yes, I know you have your strategy, and granted, you may not disclose your strategy, but we also do know, with different candidates showing up on election day, do you, for instance, have you ensured that, or is it foolproof for you, your party agents will not sell out?
In terms of party agents selling out, you might not be able to have 100% assurance on that. But you can be at a comfortable position. I mean, you're talking about 3,508 units. So tendencies are there that you have a few that might sell out. But however, we still have a backup plan on that.
In the event that they do sell out?
Yes. We have a backup plan on that.
Okay. And a backup plan to guard against vote buying? Or do you also have a budget for vote buying?
There are no budgets for vote buying. I tell my team, I mean, like when some of them say, you know what, this is the culture. We have to do this. If you don't do it this way, how are you going to get a result? And I said, it is the culture. It is the standard. Now, when you want to rent an office space, you have to pay for the office space before you rent it, right? That is the standard. That is the culture. But I started my first business by renting an office space on credit in a fantastic location. So, I mean, there's something different about me. There's something unusual about my life in itself. And those unusual traits and characters and all of those things are embedded in me.
Yep.
And I'm exhibiting that.
But
and that is what I intend to exhibit, to be able to transform the state.
But at least
moving the state from poverty to prosperity.
I know you also may understand why some persons may be a little skeptical about this, because you said new candidates, new strategy, you've got these policies, and people usually see, look, has this been tried, tested? How do you ensure that your message will resonate? But the thing is this, you also spoke about how you want to change the state from the history of poverty to something else. And we know it can be tricky when it has to do with poverty and elections, because when you get there on that day, if persons have not been paid, the people need funds to do certain things, and they dangle such carrots in front of them, they will swing. But you say you have a strategy against some of these things, and you think it's foolproof still.
We've been engaging this people and comparing. You've been suffering. In the past 27 years, you've been voting. In the past 8 years, you've been in poverty. In the past 4 years, you've been in poverty. And this poverty is increasing. And then, will you want to trade the hope of a brighter future against 2 tins of rice and 2,000 naira that will barely last you for a day? If you have persevered this long, why wouldn't you just overlook this and just make the decision and vote wisely in terms of going forward? And that's why we've been having the engagement on community decisions. Because it's the community decisions that determine the community development.
Let's quickly go through your agenda again. I mean, you've named it the START agenda. Well, I'm trying to remember what the S stands for now. But
Solid minerals, tourism, agriculture and trade, START agenda, as means of driving in cash flow into our economy.
Yes, indeed, solid minerals. And I do recall asking whether you wanted the private sector to be able to come in. What do you think precisely has been the major challenge, why it's been very difficult to, to really take off in the area of solid minerals when it comes to Kogi State, blessed as it is?
Visionary leadership. Visionary leadership. That is what is missing. Because if you don't understand the process you need to follow, how will you be able to implement it? If you don't understand the process, at least you hire people that understand the process. Prospecting, licensing, exploration, and exploitation. You must understand the legal framework required for strategic partnership. Without understanding the legal framework required for strategic partnership, you will miss it.
How do you intend to look after artisanal miners?
Now, there's a small-scale licenses. that you can access from the cadastral office. So you help them access the small-scale mining licenses for artisanal miners. Or for the commercial scale miners, what we intend to do, help them access licenses, bring in technical partners for them, issue them the necessary guarantee that will help them to access funding for exploration and exploitation. Federal government owns what is beneath the ground. The land itself is vested in the state government. So when I issue you COO, I'll create instrument for funding for them. You must understand the financing, the financial engineering around mining. Because without having that understanding, it becomes difficult to be able to execute. And that's why I talk about visionary leadership, understanding how to be able to make the most of the resources that you have.
I know that politicians don't like to look at this possibility. I mean, every politician tells you about how their plan is to win and they see themselves as winners. But not winning is also a possibility. Is it something that you have considered? And if that happens, will you willingly congratulate whoever emerges?
Do you know why I'm on the ballot? I am on the ballot because I am the next governor of Kogi State. That's why I'm on this ballot.
Yes, there's only room for one person at a time.
And that is
I was surprised if you didn't say so.
and there are so many candidates. But, I mean, if that doesn't materialize for any reason, will you be congratulating whoever it is that emerges?
You may want to ask Kogi professionals, intellectuals, who's got the best agenda, who's got the best plan, who's got the most viable and feasible plan to take the state out of poverty. They will tell you.
Okay. Are you also going to be, we're not going to be considering the possibility of not winning. I mean, even I'm not going to say the L word.
Victory is the only option for me. Yeah. And that's why I tell you, I am on the ballot because I, Olayinka Braimoh, I am the next governor of Kogi State. It's in a couple of days from here.
Okay, we'll see about that. I mean, our job is to be on the ground and monitor what it is that is going on. And can we also say that this also shows the level of confidence you have in the umpire to be able to conduct free and fair elections?
Yes, I have that confidence. First, in the system. What is the system? The beavers.
You're not worried about the IREV?
No, because, I mean, the INEC chairman has made it clear that for this election, that results must be uploaded from the polling units to the IREV. I mean, with that, like I keep saying, we'll take him by that his commitment to this. He was in Kogi State, and he made that commitment and made it a public statement. That results will be uploaded to the IREV.
Okay, so what your confidence is largely on the
system.
So you don't have any concerns whatsoever with the system?
I don't have concerns if this system is followed. The system in terms of uploading directly from the polling unit to the IREV. Because once you upload directly from the polling unit to the IREV, it means the collation, ward collation and local government collation centers and the state collation centers will not be able to manipulate the process.
All right, I think Ayo has got a question or two for you.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. Something that you've mentioned the other time, Mr. Braimoh, is that of the community, and you said that your campaign has been organic and all of that. What is your message to them? Most of the time when we talk about, the electorate, we're looking at the electorate in the light of those who are well-educated, those who, know exactly, what to look out for and all of that. But the people who will do the actual voting, you know as well as every one of us that a sizable number of them are not as knowledgeable about many of the things that we talk about, in election, the build-up to elections and all of that. So what is your message to them, and how will you take down the experiential poverty they live with on a daily basis?
Right. My message to them is clear. You have the START agenda for those that are educated and enlightened. And then I have the start on the street. I call it start on the street. And the start on the street is what it translates to the result that is expected. Today in Kogi State, a lot of families, they beg before they can eat. A lot of our graduates are back at home in Kogi State. A lot of families cannot even sponsor their children to school. A lot of wards in Kogi today don't even have no primary school, no secondary school, no clinic, no health center. And if they don't know anybody in the closest urban centers, their hope is completely dashed. So they don't have any help at all. So our message to them is this. With our START agenda, that in 3 years, with our projections, that nobody in Kogi will have to beg before they eat. And the issue of job creation would have been taken care of. That assurance is there, because on our START agenda on agriculture food sufficiency target alone, we are looking at about 37 tons yield per hectare on regenerative agriculture, and we will need about 87,000 hectares of farming to be able to achieve food sufficiency, which at 500 naira per person, 2.2 billion naira per day in terms of food, value of food transactions, and about 66 billion naira will be maintained in our economy on a monthly basis, which means these monies are not going out of our economy. So the more the money is increasing in circulation, poverty is reducing. That's been our conversation with them, giving them that assurance that poverty will be a thing of the past, because we're going to have to help them to start making money. Because if we don't help them to start making money, the government cannot make money. And if Kogi State government cannot make money, Kogi will be doomed. Reason why? Federal government is owing 87 trillion naira currently. That's closing Q1 2023. It means the value in terms of federal allocation that we're dependent on will be going down. 88% of our budget of 172 billion naira for this year is dependent on federal government, while just only 12% is coming from IGR. So when you look at these statistics, it means we're doomed as a state if we don't focus on wealth creation, helping our people to start making money. That's been my conversation with people in the rural communities, to say, we want to help you to start making money, to help you create products that we can take out of the state for money to come into the state, and services that we can exchange for money. There must be an exchange for our people to start making money. We must help our people to make money, for government to be able to make money. That's the conversation.
Well, when you say that you plan on reducing the poverty figures in Kogi State, someone listening to you right now will say, well, that's political talk. A good number of people will say that all the time. Almost every politician says exactly the same thing. So what's going to be different with you should you find yourself in government house, as you have sworn to us that you will be there?
All right, my focus is wealth creation and wealth distribution.
The question
I've
is
been able to
how?
Communicate.
Just a second.
Yes,
Mr.
I'm going
Braimoh.
there.
Okay.
Yes, I've focused on the how. The how is this. We must help our people to create products that we can take out of the state for monies to come into the state, or services that we can exchange for money. There must be an exchange. That's how to help our people to start making money.
Okay. Now, on that case, earlier on, where we were having conversations this morning, looking at the papers, one of the major challenges we dwelt on from the front pages of the papers is the ease of doing business. The governor of your state at this moment had repeatedly talked about the challenges that they have had, on that major road between the north and the south, and how that challenge has been significant. So two questions arise there. One of them is the collaboration with the federal government by the states, particularly your state. But speak to us, first of all, about ease of doing business in Kogi State. We all know how wonderful or not that has been over time. So what will make doing business with Kogi State under a government that you command different?
Right. Looking at a couple of statistics first. We are bounded by 10 states. We have a combined population of about 56 million people, a market that is bigger than Lagos market, connected by about 1,172 kilometers of federal road. Now, this we know. We are the gateway between the north and the south. So all these trucks are passing through our places. I mean, the southerners go to the north to bring food through Kogi. Northerners go through Kogi to get to Aba, get to Nisha, and get to Lagos. So what we intend to do, bring everything you can get from the north, make them available in Kogi. Everything you can get from the south, make them available in Kogi. When we have that, we turn our state to a trade center. Of course, we need to engage with the federal government, collaboration with federal government. Concession is negotiation. There are a lot of things that we can use to negotiate with federal government. I'll give you an instance. Ajakuta Steel, for instance, that you have there. I mean, on a huge landmass. If the federal government is supposed to be paying ground rent to Kogi state government, we can get into negotiations with them for us to be able to concession all the entire of 1,172 kilometers of federal roads so that we can take concession of that, get funding for these roads, private sector partnership, okay, to allow access, free access into our state. Remember, all of these things are covered in our START agenda, solid minerals, tourism, agriculture, and trade, because infrastructure is key to all of this. So that will help us in terms of helping our people to be able to do business, make it easy for our people, because our focus, wealth creation, goal, it means our set objectives is make money, save money, and grow business. So our goal, our objectives will be the driver. That is to ensure we have answer to every question that our objectives will throw up. And that is what we're looking at in terms of being able to help us. For instance, ease of doing business. Employees are critical to that. You must have good employees, motivated employees, to be able to help businesses to thrive. When your employees are not well paid, when your employees are being paid ration salaries, how do you expect them to be able to give you their best for productivity?
Which raises another question, Mr. Braimoh. Just one quick one, Chamberlain. Which raises another question that Malquer repeated over time this morning, and that is the job of collaborative efforts of ministries, departments, and agencies in ensuring good governance. Now, one of the issues we found out is that they are responsible for the performance or otherwise of any government. What's going to make your own administration difficult different in ensuring that the ministries, departments, and agencies actually work for the people and not for their own pockets?
Now, there are a lot of factors in this. And why I'm focusing on employees, because you need your employees to be able to be productive. When the pensioners are not being paid, what message are you communicating to those that are in service currently? I will have to take care of my future. That's the communication when pensioners are not being paid. So these are employees issues must be taken as priority because they will be the driver of the strategic initiative. We have to prioritize that.
What would you have done differently if you were at the helm of affairs and then 2 billion has been released to you for palliatives?
Right. On palliatives, for instance, a couple of factors. I'll give you an example. Ibaji, where we get oil from, in Kogi State, there's no road.
What kind of oil? Palm oil?
No, crude oil. Kogi State has been receiving derivation. Okay? There's oil in Ibaji.
That's interesting.
So Kogi has started receiving derivation as an oil-producing state. Now, that same local government is cut off completely, not accessible by vehicle, by no roads at all. So, things to do differently. I mean, when you're talking about palliatives and then you're using to give 2 things of rice that is not even up to a meal, you know, I would rather use that to be able to drive industry, help people to be able to create products.
But you know, it won't solve the immediate poverty problem.
Okay, now, when you give me 2 things of rice, and I'm only able to just eat a meal, if that is enough for a meal, what happens the next moment? Am I not back to the same situation? So why wouldn't I just encourage people to persevere and say, let's invest this money to help you for something that is sustainable? This palliatives we're talking about is not sustainable. Sustainability must be the key focus on every initiative that we're looking at.
All right. At the end of the day, whichever way the pendulum swings, one person will win.
Yes.
Now, I know you say it yourself.
Of course.
We hear that. But in the event that you're called upon to come in and assist the government of the day, whichever one it is, would you do it?
You see,
with all these ideas that you've got.
You see, when you talk about visionary leadership, you must have a visionary leader that will understand and be able to appreciate ideas that will help move the state forward. I'll give you an example. For most states in Nigeria, you will lobby, you will beg. I'm coming. You will beg, you will lobby to get certificate of occupancy. Now, this is supposed to be an instrument for funding that will help you to drive in cash flow into your state, or businesses to be able to drive in cash flow into your economy. That will help your economy grow. But you see so many governors, you have to know somebody, you have to bribe.
So if they call you to come help,
of occupancy,
would you do that?
Now,
to help the government?
That's what I'm telling you right now. I mean, these states, so many of these states, including our state, will be waiting for federal allocation when they have instrument and platform to be able to create money. Are you saying they don't have people?
What I did ask is, if whichever government wins,
that's what I'm
would
going
you
to.
come in?
Are you saying they don't have people in their state that can help them grow their economy?
So you won't?
But they're not making use of them.
So what's the answer to that? If they call you, you will?
It has to do with if you have somebody with a visionary leader. If you have a visionary leader, right? Like right now, I've been speaking, at least if the governor currently thinks that I need help in this area, he would have reached out to me to say, okay, come and help me.
I'm not talking about this government.
No,
I'm talking about...
that's what I'm giving you an example.
Okay.
The system that has been producing, the system that has been producing governors up to now, okay, the challenge with the system is if the system, is not right, if you don't get the right system to produce your leaders, that's why we're having conversation on community decisions and community engagement.
Okay, well, thank you for coming on, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
May the best.
Very much.